There are 5 core concepts or techniques that you might want to think about when you're trying to analyse what goes on in brainwashing. Those 5 techniques are isolation, control, uncertainty, repetition and emotion. And in any case where brainwashing is alleged, such as for example thought reform during the Korean War or in cults, in any case where it is alleged you will find these 5 being used. So if I say a little about each of those in turn. Isolation means what it says. You get the person away from their former environment, you put them in a new environment where you have control over the incoming stimuli. So isolation and control work together. You want to get them away from their previous environment, not only because they will have ties to all their friends and their family and all the rest of it, which you want to break because you want their loyalties to be to you, the brainwasher, but also because any stimulus that comes into your brain is going to activate patterns of activity which include beliefs about the world, who you are, your identity, your role in life, all the rest of it. You don't want those activated because you want to give the person a new identity, a new role, and new beliefs. So you're trying to weaken those beliefs. Now, beliefs which are not activated by information coming in from the environment tend to weaken. Beliefs that are activated tend to strengthen. So you use isolation and control of the new environment together, and you do that to hopefully to get the new beliefs activated, stimulated and strengthened while weakening the old ones. So those are the first techniques, isolation and control. You can also use uncertainty, and you do that to target former beliefs. It's actually quite easy to get someone doubting a belief. If you try it for yourself, you can take any belief that you happen to think of. I believe that it's Friday today. Well, is it Friday? Is it really Friday? How do I know it's Friday? Did I look at the calendar? No. Did I look at my watch? No. Are you sure it's Friday? It could be Thursday. I might be confused about Thursday. It might be Saturday. What's going on? How do you know? Before you know, you're going to start doubting even something so obvious and simple as the fact that it is Friday today. You can do that even more with beliefs that you haven't really thought about much. Beliefs about why you believe the religion you do, why you like the person that you do, why you have the political principles that you do. Because most people, unless you've actually thought very deeply about those principles, they haven't really got any good reasons for why they like them. They like them because the people around them like them, or because they were brought up that way, or whatever it is. So it's easy to attack those, to raise uncertainty about them, and thereby to weaken them. So uncertainty is a very useful tool. It's kind of a fraud tool, because it relies on people having an idea about beliefs which is false, which is that every belief stands on its own in your brain like a little column. Brains don't work like that, and neither do beliefs. Beliefs are like networks. They draw their strength from other beliefs. So if you just pick one and kind of destroy it, it's kind of unfair, because that's not how they work. They're not little columns, they're like networks. But most people don't kind of realise that, and so they are very vulnerable to a targeted attack saying, why do you believe this? Are you sure? Of course you're not sure. And thereby that belief is weakened. To strengthen the new beliefs, you use repetition. And when I say repetition, I mean, boy, do these people use repetition. If you look at what goes on in some cults, and also, for example, what is described in the thought reform camps, I mean, the message was repeated again and again and again. And you may think that, you're blanketed by advertising and the message of go out and shop and go out and shop and go out and shop is constant, but it's nothing compared to what these people had to put up with when they were in the thought reform camps. They had lectures, they started early in the morning, they had discussion groups, they had criticism groups, they had to keep diaries noting any ideological deviation. Those diaries were then torn to shreds in group sessions. They had more lectures, they had more talks. It just went on and on and on for months, and it's very hard for any human brain to cope with that kind of level of battery. So repetition is a very useful tool. Get the message, get it out again and again and again, and eventually it will sink in despite what the person is trying to do to resist it. And the final control technique, if you like, is to use strong emotions. And we are so very good at that. If you look at all the great ideologues of history, they're not talking reason, they're talking emotions. They're getting down to the gut and appealing to your visceral instincts, and that is their great success. Now, most people think of ideological diatribes, for example, Adolf Hitler being, again, the classic example, as being very much about anger and hate and fear. That's only part of it. Yes, anger is very important. Yes, fear is very important. But they're short-term emotions. They kind of get whipped up for the situation, but then if there is no obvious cause of anger and there is no obvious cause of fear, they tend to die away again. So you can't do it just symbolically with anger and fear. You need other things as well. You need to have a real cause for concern there if you're going to use anger and fear. Okay, a lot of the people who go into, for example, cults, who are vulnerable to brainwashing, child soldiers, young people, teenagers, whatever, a lot of those people are vulnerable anyway. They may be suffering strong emotions for any one of a number of reasons. They may be, for example, suffering from bereavement, they may be very lonely, they may be very confused about their place in the world, etc. So there are a lot of emotions there that a good brainwasher can work with. But anger and fear are only part of it. You can also use disgust. And when I talk about cruelty, I talk about the importance of disgust in generating cruel behaviour. It's a very underrated emotion, but it's a very, very important one, especially when we're making moral judgments. Disgust is key. But there are also positive emotions, and these tend to be underrated. The thing about being part of a cult, or being part of a religion, or being part of an ideological grouping, is that exactly that, you are part of a group, you belong. Now, some people may have not felt that they belonged ever before. That sense of belonging is a really important human motivator. It's a huge driver of our behaviour, whether we accept that and realise it or not. We need and want to belong, and to belong is very, very tempting to us. So a cult offers not only negative emotions about, how dreadful the outside world is and come to us and, we're pure, we're clean and everybody else is dreadful. There's also the positive side of it. So together, using negative emotions and those very strong positive yearnings, you can make a really powerful impact on somebody, because you're appealing not just to their rational side, not just to their thinking, reasoning side, but to very deep visceral emotions. And that, put together with the other techniques, can make a really powerful impact on their beliefs. And that's what brainwashing does.